What's up, you amazing soul warriors? I am so excited to be sitting in this seat here with you tonight. This is Saturday Night Soul Sessions live with me, LC, and we've got our number one returning guest, my good friend, one of my favorite humans on earth, Miss Karith Foster, best-selling author. Internationally renowned speaker, adversity solutions creator. This woman is everywhere and has it all, and I just love her, and I'm so grateful that it worked out that she can be here with me tonight. I've got my kindness counts cup filled with sweet tea, and I'm super ready to have this conversation with her tonight about the power of intentional thinking and focus, how it really is up to us, how we have more choices than our limitations allow us to believe, and honestly, how we can truly create a life we love. If you've been following Recovery Soul Food for any length of time, you know that Karith has been here now. This will make her third time. She's come back every season since season 2. And, she has so many amazing things to say. But not only that, she shares from the way that she lives. And I'm super excited as well because her husband Craig, my friend the Aussie, is going to join us later on in this tonight. So it's going to get pretty wild around here, and I'm super glad that you're here to join us tonight. Hey, if you get any kind of value from our content, you know that you can help us grow by liking, sharing the video, subscribing to our YouTube channel, and also becoming a monthly supporter of the podcast at anchor.fm/recovery soul food. You can also follow us on Instagram and TikTok at all those places. Even though I haven't been all that active there lately, it's been a strange time. It's been a rough time for a lot of us, but I'm telling you, we're moving into greatness. So hold on and get ready, because we're going to learn some stuff tonight. We're going to have some good conversation tonight, and we're hopefully going to help you get up from your give up and create a life you love. So if you're ready, we're ready. Let's go.
3, 2, 1, 0.
Uno, dos, tres, cuatro.
What's up, Karith? Welcome
Hello,
back.
Carolyn.
I am so happy to have you here. I am. This has just made my whole week.
It's so mutual. I feel exactly the same way. And thank you for that lovely introduction.
Well, it's always it's so the truth. It is so the truth. And like I said, first time we met, I'll travel anywhere with you and be your opener to make sure people really understand the honor that they are in to be in the presence of such a new thought leader in today's world.
Well,
I appreciate you.
And this topic is right up my alley. As you know, like one of my favorite things to talk about. I am a manifester. I am a manifesting generator. And so it's all about putting it out there and setting the intention. So this conversation is going to be fire, as I say.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Because in fact, when I first met you, you said, I am a master manifester. And we talked about that in that first video. And I really want us to talk about the backside of that in some ways as well, because sometimes it gets so overwhelming that when we talk about manifestation, we always just talk about the end result, but we don't talk about the power of what it takes to get there and the hard things that we kind of go through that look like life shattering when really
Yeah,
it's breaking open limitations to fall into place.
absolutely.
So,
Absolutely. I mean, you're
mm,
gonna get tested.
oh,
You're
yeah.
gonna be challenged. You're going to like it's not just like making a vision board and
Right.
it's done. Voila!
It's
Like, a fairy godmother comes with the wand and boom,
right.
the next day. Uh,
Right.
not that that's not entirely possible, but there are elements
Mm,
that we don't talk about. Like you said, there are
mm-hmm.
things that happen behind the scenes that, even The Secret, right? That Rhonda
Yeah.
Byrne book that came out 2009,
Mm-hmm.
I believe it
Yep.
was. And
Yep.
it was all the rage. I mean, she was from Australia. It was an international sensation. They made the movie about it. But one of the things that people started talking about, because everybody's like, well, I'm just gonna visualize it,
Yeah. I'm going to think it through.
think it, and I'm gonna like want it and desire it. But the element that they talk about that just recently they started saying is
Yeah.
have to believe.
Yeah.
Have to believe it. Like it's already happened, like it's already there. You have in that belief, another word for that is the F word, not the 4-letter bad one. Faith. Faith.
Yes.
Like literally
Yeah.
blind faith. It's believing before you see it. Not I'll see it when I'll believe it, or I'll believe it when I see it.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of I've been in that boat for
Me
a long
too.
part New Yorker, right? Like I've been in New York 20 some years. I'll believe it when I see it. Because
Yeah.
you're in the real world where there's empty promises and yeah, this is gonna happen. And you make investments, or if you're especially in entertainment, yeah, we're gonna
Mm,
make this movie. We want you to be part of this project. Okay, I'll believe it when I see it. Because you get hyped
mm-hmm.
up, but you get
Sure.
disappointed. And so, but you have to then the faith that you've had in those other people, you have to put in yourself.
Mm,
This manifestation
mm.
to work, right? You have to put in
Absolutely.
this internal work and
Yes.
energy to be like, you know what? This is where I'm supposed to be. I know this is my future. I know it with all of my being. Do I know how it's going to happen exactly? I do not. I'll give you an example. So obviously, I wrote the book. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you can be
Yeah.
perfect. You can be happy, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I self-published this book. And even though I self-published it, it was like it made it to debuted on the bestseller list of personal transformations for Amazon. But I never stopped there. Like, oops, sorry, one of my crystals. I love crystals. I'm like, I'm gonna be in airports. When I walk through airports, I'm gonna see my picture and my books on like display as I go through airports all over the country.
Mm,
I don't know how that's going to happen. I don't know exactly when it's going to happen, but that is something that I want to happen, and I know it's part of my destiny.
mm.
Fast forward, I mean, this was a thought many, many years ago because I have a very dear friend who's an author, and she does a lot of. She's written 11 books now on like successful women and um, resilience. Her name is Valerie Burton. I'll plug her.
Oh,
She's
yeah.
on the Today Show regularly with Hoda and Jenna, and we know each other from Texas. She used to be a writer for my mom when my
Wow.
mom was editor in chief of a minority business diversity supplier magazine.
Wow.
And she went from there to this, best-selling author and speaker. And I'm like, oh my goodness, like I'm kind of following in her footsteps a little bit. I'm like, I'm going to be like Valerie. I see her every time I go to the airport. It's not because it's not jealousy. And it's
Right.
not envy. It's I'm going to do that too. It's
Yeah.
she, and if she can
It's
do
a
it,
mirror.
yeah,
It's a mirror of purpose.
right? Because
Yeah.
it could be, oh, I can't believe she got that, and I've been doing this for so long. It's not. It's not at all. It's wow, she got this. She came from and this is why representation is so important,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
It's not about
Yes.
checking a box for diversity or filling quotas. It's about showing
Right.
other people. Look,
It's possible.
somebody just like you
Yeah.
was able to do this too,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I see this all the time. I still see your books in the airport. And I'm like, that's going to happen for me. So fast forward to we're in 2023, Mother's Day. An article in the New York Times came out that featured me and my
Yes.
work,
It was amazing.
adversity, right? And the attention it brought was just phenomenal. Like I could not
Outstanding.
ask for a better, like, and what was so beautiful about the article, Elsie, and I don't think I shared this with you when we talked, but every now and then you'll get quoted, or you'll get, someone will write up a piece about you, and they always have their own agenda, right? They
Mm-hmm.
always,
Mm-hmm.
if it's not misspelling your name or misquoting you or bending it to what they want,
Mm-hmm.
putting up an unflattering picture, none of that happened. This was the greatest thing that could have happened to
It
me.
was beautiful.
And the pictures they used were flattering.
It was
The
beautiful.
person they interviewed was just spot on. It just was, And
Mm.
so, of course, it brought a lot of attention. And then I get these calls from some pretty major publishing houses like, hey, you interested in writing a book on this? Like, as a matter of fact,
I
I've
already
been
did.
doing this. Like, I've been planning on it and working it. But this was like, okay, we're going to put that plan into motion now, because now
Wow.
you can't just like think about it and wish about it. Like, it has to get done because there is
Yep.
interest.
Yep.
So I reached out to a very dear friend who is successful and said, what do I do? Do I get an agent? Do I get do I just find a lawyer? Like, because I've had bad experiences with managers and agents, taking a
Sure.
percentage for doing nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Of something that I did and created and got myself. So I'm like, I really want to avoid that. She's like, no. I can put you in touch with my agent, my literary agent. I'm like, okay, would you like, because as someone who's been in the entertainment industry, if you have representation, it's always kind of annoying when other people are like, hey, can you introduce me to your manager? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I kind of snake in. And so you never,
Yeah.
like, I knew that from that world. So I wasn't asking for that, but it was just a genuine introduction. So I could ask questions. And then this agent was like, you know what? I love this topic. I love you. I would love to represent you.
That's amazing.
So I have a literary agent. And this is someone who can put my face in my book and airports. And I know that seems so silly, right? Like, airports, that's your goal.
Outstanding.
I mean, obviously there's so much more,
But
that
still,
visualization, like, that was the,
that's the focus. Yeah. Yeah. That's a point of focus.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. And
So
it's
I'm sorry,
amazing.
I hijacked this from the
No. I'm so grateful that you're sharing about that, because I myself am just so happy to hear about it. Because I read the article and I thought to myself, this is an amazing article. Like, there's no way that because see, if you look at you from my eyes, it's almost the same way. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, here's this amazing human being that is in the world talking about subjects that are so important in such a unique way that this needs to be heard. And you know what? I know that if she can do this, like I could probably do something like this. And just watching the growth of that and the expansion of all of it, and knowing that it's not just a vision board on your wall, that you take the steps. Because a lot of times, sometimes I find that there are some things we think we want until it comes down to the action time. And that's when that fear and that, smallness will come into play and shut us down, and we'll let these things pass by. And so I think having a focus, like, I want to see my books in airports, is such an amazing, like, specific and generic at the same time. So there's not any kind of judgment attached to, because sometimes the judgment we attach to things will stop those things from coming in our lives. I've spent 2 years talking to people about how to get up from their give up, but this season I want to talk to them about how to create a life you love. And so what you're talking about right now is creating a vision for yourself, minus the judgment surrounding it. So the judgment on how it's got to come in, what it's supposed to look like, and just relaxing into that faith and saying, I know within my being that this is my purpose, and being so grateful that you had a mirror to see that in somebody else. Because how do we really know what our purpose is until we see somebody else doing it, and then it clicks in? Because I don't know about you, but I see people, like, I watched a whole series today called Fearless on bull riding. And I don't want to climb on a bull. I think that's fun, and those guys got grit.
Not even a bar.
That ain't, yeah,
Bar.
yeah, that ain't my purpose. Like, I know that ain't my purpose. But he did say something in there that was just resembled what you were talking about. He was like, one of the first champion bull riders from Brazil showed so many other Brazilian boys that this was something they could do, and that was what was
But
happening.
it's a possibility.
It's a possibility.
Even if it's not what you want to do, it's a possibility, and that plants the seeds.
That's
and
it.
You just said something when you were speaking a few minutes ago about how I took action, and that's the other part of faith.
Yes.
You have to take. You can't just sit back and I'm going to believe it. 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 You have to take steps toward something, and you know what?
Yeah.
That's the key. That's the magic elixir.
It really is.
You just and the thing is, you don't worry about if it's a right action or a wrong action. You just have to put things in motion.
Yes.
And that is literally like the belief is the key. The action is turning the key and opening the door.
Yes. Yes, it truly is.
Come in, Yeah.
Yeah, it truly is. And it's so, and I think that like lends itself, because there are all kinds of distractions that we can get into, especially now, if we're talking about just, like being absorbed by the world outside of us. We can get really involved and taken down the rabbit hole of some things that can cloud our vision. It can knock us, off of our path in ways, and it can get us into an energy of true judgment. We're in a situation now where it's very tempting, because it feels good in the unhealthy body, in the nervous system of a lot of traumatized human beings that don't even realize how traumatized we all are, that energy of picking sides and standing up for what's right, or all of that can really, it's taking energy away from this very thing that we're talking about.
I call that the comfortable discomfort.
That's exactly what it is. That's
stuck
exactly what it is.
And these bad, toxic, sometimes places of trauma, of victimhood, of abuse, whether it's self-inflicted or someone else, because we know it. So that's become our normal. And because it's our normal and we know it, it's comfortable. So to step outside of that into something new, even if it's something better, way better, which it usually is, it's so scary because it's unknown.
It is. It is.
You have to be able to push into that place. That's where the faith comes in. Right? That's where the faith comes in. Being able to hop into the unknown. And look who's here. My darling, lovely husband.
Look at my friend coming. Look at my friend.
Cocktail of some kind.
It's
or a lemon juice.
It's not a lemon juice, let me tell you that.
It's a limeade.
It's a limeade.
All right.
Well, Martin John is here. Let me give a shout out to Martin John. We love you too, Martin John. We were talking about you before we got on the air. Well, look, poor Aussie's trying to share the chair.
He's trying. I'm going to have to lift it up a little bit.
We may have to.
We could probably go with the other chair and it would probably look normal.
We'll cut the top of his head off a little bit. He still looks great. How you doing, man?
How's it going?
I'm doing. It's good. I'm glad to see you.
I'm glad to see you too.
I heard you down there. I heard you down there getting the
Texas. So we had to have a margarita.
A limeade.
It's hot. It's hot in North Carolina too. It's 105. The heat index is 105 today. Can't imagine that Texas though. Texas heat's so different.
Oh my word! We had
so
a chicken
different.
pass out. Like we have a chicken now in the dog cage.
Yes.
Amanda, say a little prayer for Amanda. She overheated.
Chicken pass out.
We have an overheated chicken.
The visual on that, I apologize. The visual on that was too much. I hear you're down there getting the kids ready for Terminator. I hear you down there getting them.
We were watching it.
Okay, get them prepared.
They're like, Dad, they're a little freaked out, but they're like, Daddy, I go, it's like one possible future. And then,
I love it.
But you need to be prepared.
It's just one possibility. I
Yeah.
love it. I
We're gonna
love it.
talk land and stuff after the show.
All right.
So
Oh
um,
yeah.
today's theme is
Intentional thinking and
intentional.
focus.
Yeah,
Yeah.
intentional focus and manifesting things and putting that
Well,
energy towards stuff.
then we can talk about the land as well. We've been thinking about this land and the property and what we've been wanting for quite some time.
Yeah,
Really?
going public with everything.
Right. But I'm just saying that
It's something
that
we've been like wanting to
we've
manifest.
been manifesting as
So,
well.
yeah.
So
Yeah, because you guys manifested the house you're in now, right?
yes.
I made
And the children manifested the cat.
That's awesome.
you manifested the dog. I did not manifest the dog. And I manifested them. I did.
I
We
love
wrote
it.
lists. We made lists. And that's another thing. So we're talking about taking action, right?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I think, when we talk about taking action, it can be little minutia things like taking the time to just meditate for 5 minutes a day,
Yeah.
writing a list of what you want. And so what both he and I did, and I feel like we've talked about this before, but it's always good for new audience. I made a list of what I wanted in a soulmate, in a partner. And it was a very specific list. And I spent weeks on this list. And I would think about like the people that I maybe dated before, what I liked about them, the qualities I didn't. But instead of saying, I don't want somebody who does this, it was, I want someone who does this. Instead of saying,
Mm,
I don't want someone who's,
yeah.
still hung up on their ex. It's, I want someone who's emotionally available. Right?
That's
The universe
important.
does not distinguish between nots and don'ts and the negatives. It only hears what
True.
you're saying. So you
Yeah.
keep saying, I don't want this. You're going to get more of what you don't want.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Because the feeling that's attached to what you don't want is obviously stronger than what you do.
Well, and that's interesting that you say feelings. So I'm reading a book. I forget what the name of the book is, but it's about, how everyone is goal driven, and we're
Mhm.
in this society, we're being taught
Hustle culture.
to set the goal, set the intention, set the goal, right? I want to make 100,000 by next year. I want to make 1 million by next year. I want this kind of house, this kind of car, and that. So what this book is talking about, and so when people reach that, or even athletes, I want to win this championship, right?
Mhm.
You win the
Mhm.
championship, you get the car, you get the 100,000, the house, or whatever it is, but you still feel empty.
Yeah.
Right? Reason why you feel empty is because you haven't set the feeling.
Yeah.
What is the feeling?
That comes with this.
The emotion
Yeah.
comes with getting that goal. Now,
Absolutely.
when you have goal and emotion, now you're setting what I'm going to feel when I get there, right?
Yeah.
And then you
Yeah.
feel more, when you get it, then now I feel more fulfilled, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Deal?
Yeah,
And
for
the other
sure.
thing is just setting a list of goals and that, or wants or wishes, doesn't do anything unless you take some action.
We were just saying
So
that.
true. So
Walk-
true. Yeah. Yeah, so true. Because
You just
well,
put
I
to that.
yeah, because I remember thinking I want to manifest money. It was money, 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 because there's this feeling and this thinking that money is going to solve
All the
the
problems.
issues, because we're not thinking past the thing into what's the emotion that I want to feel.
Right.
And there is this very interesting place that I feel grateful to be in at this point, where I that goal oriented, that hustle culture is what I kind of call it, is that there was always this drive to get something, to the point that it started becoming it was almost burdensome.
Mm.
And even though you would get the stuff, because there's
You don't have the
real
emotion.
need, exactly, because I got the money.
Right.
And nothing. I couldn't get rid of the money fast enough because there was a disappointment
Right.
in the fact that it didn't fix one damn thing. Like, I paid my bills on time every month. I bought some stuff, but my
Right.
wife was still in a massive depression. My son was still completely, I could not buy them out of that.
Sure.
And so it was a valuable lesson in that, okay, what is it that what's behind this thing that I'm really looking for? Is it harmony in my relationships? Is it, peace? Is it joy? What is it? And I've learned to kind of sit back and not be completely detailed focused to the point that I make a judgment about it if it doesn't show up that way. But it's like that faith we were talking about, where I'm open to experience. Like, these are the emotions that I want to achieve. I want to achieve a feeling of pure freedom. If I
Right.
want to get up and go somewhere, then I have the ways and the means and the ability to do that. If I want to have a certain type of career, what does that feel like, and how am I limiting myself by believing or continuing to play small? Because we'll play small to
Mm,
keep the people around us comfortable. We
mm,
surely will.
right?
We'll hold ourselves
Well,
back for
discomfort.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
But yeah,
And
that's
so,
what this book was talking about, is how if you don't attach the emotion to it. So the woman started off with like the vision board, which Karith is very big on the vision board
I love
stuff.
my vision boards.
I
Right.
love them too, just for that
But
emotion.
so her and her husband, I guess, sat down at one Christmas, and they were doing the vision board for the new year and that. And then, it kind of just, got the stuff out there, and some of the stuff they got, but there wasn't any fulfillment to it. So then over time, it became an emotion board. Okay.
Mhm.
What is
I
the
like that.
feeling that I'm going to be attaching to when I get to these levels in this goal?
That sounds so familiar. You got to tell me, you got to remember,
Well,
find out.
I know. I
Figure
can't
out
wait to
send it
I can go downstairs and get it. Do you want me to go?
because
mean,
I bet you it's something that I'm reading, because that emotion board, I don't remember, and I can't remember who I was reading or listening to, and I wonder if it's the same book. But it's so true to have that emotion
have a
board.
look.
go get
Hang
it.
on a sec. I'll go get it.
Okay. So it is true to have that emotion behind something, because the fulfillment doesn't come in the thing. And I say that whenever I'm talking to, people in recovery, people
Yeah.
that are going through transition, is the happiness does not live in the thing, the accomplishment.
Well, and that's why everybody thinks, oh, if I just do this to my body, right? If I just get my
Right.
plumper, if I just get that nose job, if I just
Yes.
get the boob job, if I just
Yep.
augment something external,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
then I'll feel like how I want to feel.
Exactly.
But that's like one of the tenets of adversity is, yes, can we focus on what it is we have in common? Yeah, of course.
Mhm.
Let's celebrate our differences. Of course.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
let's find a way to honor them and to value them and to celebrate them, because that's part of what makes us us and what's unique
Absolutely.
and our identities and what makes us individuals. But let's shift the focus to what it is we have in common, how we can truly be inclusive of one another, but most importantly, and I always say this, and powerfully, being introspective, understand your value and worth so you can see it in someone else.
That's
And
the only way.
can't go inside and think, you know what, I am beautiful. I am smart. I love myself. There's no way we can see that or perceive that in anyone else.
Yeah.
And since most of
Yeah.
us don't think those things, most of us wake up in the morning and the first thing we do is look in the mirror and say something heinous,
Yeah.
something awful, that if a complete stranger walked up and said to us, we'd be like, who raised you? We'd be
Mhm.
appalled. And yet we do that to ourselves.
Every day. Every day.
Oh,
Every
you know what?
day.
If I just change this, if I just get that cellulite removed, if I just lose 50 pounds, if I just, and
Yeah.
I can talk about it because I'm guilty of it.
Me
But
me too.
Watching myself. I am
Mhm.
working on, and that's the thing. This is a practice,
Mhm.
right? It's like
It's
yoga. It's
intentional.
not called yoga
Yep.
perfect. It's called yoga practice.
Yeah.
You're constantly having to, but some people just don't even know about it. And so if we can
Right.
be an introduction to that, like even better,
Yeah.
I mean,
Absolutely.
that's what this is about. It's about learning from one another. And I swear to God, I think, Elsie, that is part of both of our purposes on this planet, is to enlighten people and educate them and, lift the veil.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
The fraudulent, narcissistic, materialistic world.
Yeah.
What is
Yeah.
what
What
is
is real?
legitimate? What matters?
Right.
And
Right.
as you know, it's not the money, it's not the things, it's our health, it's the
Mm-hmm.
people we love, it's the experiences we have.
Yeah, we're lucky to be here. Like I'm so grateful for my addiction. I'm just so grateful for my past. Not that I dismiss the things that, happen or went on or any of that, but I'm grateful because only because of that do I have the perspective of being able to understand what is real and true for me, what is real and true to me. And the only way that I can recognize that in another person, because you can't be tolerant of something in somebody else that you're not tolerant or aware of within yourself. And
Right.
so for the longest time, it was easy for me to jump on the bandwagon of, you can't say that, like it's almost like,
Sure.
you can't say that, because it invoked a place within me that I was still trying to figure out. It's like Martin and I have talked about so many times. I think going back to the root of me and a lot of my thinking was, I felt the need. I felt so misunderstood. I felt the need to be understood, that it bled itself into an approval issue. So
Mm-hmm.
then it was always trying to get the approval, and yet always knowing I was different. So your duality is now polarity.
But now, instead of being understood, you are at the level of being understood.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And if that's what we can present to the world, and I say that in the addiction world as well, I understand the purpose in the beginning of the whole, admitting that you have an addiction issue.
Sure.
But don't put the addict after I am.
Mm,
Acknowledge that you have the issue.
yep.
But every time you are giving to that you are giving to that prophecy for yourself,
Mm-hmm.
you're limiting all that you can be within that label. And there are some people that are so die hard about that. And I get it, but it's a very surface level of who you are, because who you really are, what you really are,
It's a lot
eh,
deeper.
way deeper,
And that
way
is
deeper.
why we connect so much on your message and my message within adversity, because if we could get away from the labels of, I'm just
Mm,
a black woman, or I'm black, or I'm a woman,
right.
I'm gay, or
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
you know, I'm whatever, like that. We're not monoliths.
Yeah.
No.
That's
We're
No.
multifaceted. There's this intersectionality that shouldn't be ignored or denied, because it robs us of our agency. Anytime
Yes, it
we can stick
does.
to one label, one pronoun, one, that pigeonholes us
yeah.
and everything that we are and can be.
Yeah.
Instead of
Yeah.
just I am who I am, instead of, well,
Hmm.
I'm a he, a she, a they, or what.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't just stick yourself in a pigeonhole. Don't just say,
Right.
I am this, because
Yeah.
you're much bigger. Everybody's much
Much bigger.
But
Absolutely.
book is
Absolutely.
called book is called The Desire Map.
The desire map. No, that's not the one, but now I want to get it.
flip at the back over.
Right, and it says, how do you want to feel? Basically,
I love that. The desire map.
The Desire Map by Danielle Laporte.
Laporte. I will get that, because I love that, because the feeling is the secret. The feeling is the secret.
Yeah, you got to have
of all of it.
The feeling is the secret, because this and I worked in the motorcycle field for a lot of years and stuff, and there's guys who have been national champions. There's one of the most winningest riders ever, just opened up, probably 6 months or so ago on a YouTube thing, and he said, even after he won all of his champions, he was about ready. He was a minute away from committing suicide. He had the gun in his mouth, and his mother called.
Wow.
And
Wow.
but all of everything, because he'd been told from a young age, you need to win these races, you need to win these championships. All of this stuff this is what you're supposed to do, and he'd done all that.
It will fulfill you.
It fulfill you. You have great house, the fast cars, all the championships, all the money, all the things you could possibly have, and he still felt as completely empty as ever. And that perhaps even more empty. You know,
Yeah, I'd say more.
more
I'd say
empty. The
more.
more you know, so that like these people that, you know, the more they take, the emptier they feel. You know,
Yes,
probably, you know, I haven't been addicted, but I'm imagining that somewhere where the addiction stuff,
it's
the
the
more
truth.
you want to consume more because you think that's going to fix the problem, and
Exactly.
it actually just
Exactly.
fueling the problem.
That's it. That's it. It's just adding to the emptiness. And, you know, I know that for so many things that I did in my life, you know, if I get thin, oh, I'll have this surgery and I'll get thin. So when I get thin, it's all going to be all right.
Yeah.
Everything that I thought that being overweight was stopping me from, oh, if I transition, then I'll be happy. You know, something profound really happened to me that I didn't realize until this year. I did like this reassessment with my therapist, and we went over all the years that I'd been seeing her. And every year, there was, when it came to that whole gender question or whatever, sexuality question, it was like, you know, patient feels trapped, wrong body. The
Mhm.
year before I opened up to begin my transition, I had come to a place of acceptance.
Mm.
That was written in that therapy log, and I didn't even know that. We were just reading through it, and it dawned on me when she read through that that was the one time in almost 10 years of seeing her that I had come to a place of acceptance.
Yeah.
Okay, I've done enough healing work within myself that is, if this is the way that it is or stays, then I'm going to accept myself as a human being. That's, you know, just this, I'm a divine human being. And then things began to open up. And I think that was a saving grace for me, in the way that all the other times that I had thought, oh, this will do it. If I do this, it'll do it. It was more empty. Just like you said, I was more empty every time. It was disappointing because you were like, oh my God, I got to the mountain.
Yep,
It
you're
didn't hold.
out and you're like, hang on,
I know. It's like, okay, now what's next?
now what
You
is
know?
out there,
What's
right?
Yeah.
what's another word for acceptance? Surrender.
Surrender. And that's a big one in the addiction community.
It's a big
And
one.
surrender,
You surrender to, like, this is it. This is
this
me.
is it.
There's nothing more I'm supposed to be or have or do. I am surrendering to the fact that I am enough.
Yes.
Yes.
And
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
so our oldest daughter still homeschools, so we go to the homeschool group stuff, and there's some lesbians at the homeschool group, and I was talking to one of them, and she was talking about her partner, and that who's the more masculine partner in the group, and she goes, "Yeah, my partner just feels awkward all the time." I go, "That's how men are. Men feel awkward all the time, and
I love
that's
that.
just being normal.
I
That's
love that.
you don't need that's you know that's how it goes. We're
I
all
love that.
awkward.
I love that so much because it is kind of true. And I'm glad you said that. So for every person you think just has it all together and they're just all,
We're all
everybody's
awkward. We
awkward.
all have our own awkwardness that we
I
deal with
love it.
every day. There's always
Right.
times where I feel awkward. I'm like, what am I doing here? You know?
Oh, I love that.
You just gotta, you know, embrace. Hey, I'm here. I'm supposed to be here. I have a purpose. Let's make the best of it.
There's something that's said, and I love access consciousness, and I love it. And there's something that's said that nothing is right or wrong. You know, it just is. And we have this feeling like we've got to make something about ourselves wrong, or we got to make something about ourselves right. And really, that's when the judgment comes in. And once again, we're closing in the gaps on our smallness, because if we're in complete judgment of what's right or what's wrong about us, so it's, you know, right and wrong, you know, right or wrong, good or bad, you know.
We live in this binary world, right? Like, we live in a binary world. It's either good or bad, left or right and wrong,
Black
like
or
black or
white.
white.
Yep.
Like, that's just, and that's how we operate. And we forget that it's really a world of gray.
Well, and it's not really
Yes.
so much a world. There is some gray. There's gray in the middle, but I mean, if we just had everything be white, so if everything was perfect, right, there would be no balance. There would be
There
no
would not.
contrast to it. So we
That's
need to
true.
have the imperfection or the black to contrast with the white. That's what the yin and
Absolutely.
yang is about. You know, it's a
Absolutely.
balance. If you have all of one, the circle becomes unbalanced. If it's all of the other, it's unbalanced. When it's a battle backwards and forwards, and it's never perfect. It's
I
never.
think that's a beautiful transition into one of the things that I was going to ask you tonight, which, really is about that balance, about, when you're walking through these hard times, like right now we are in wild times, personally, collectively. So what do you guys do as individuals, maybe even together as a couple, when you're going through these hard times? How do you keep yourself in a place of intentionally focusing? Is it just mostly about growth, or do you have to get like really intentional on saying, okay, I know whatever this is, it's leading to
Right.
something else? How do y'all do that individually and together?
Well, I'll go first.
You go first.
In my book, You Can Be Perfect, You Can Be Happy, I talk about how, spoiler alert, happiness is a choice. It's as individual as we are, but the caveat is that it's not a constant, right? So
Mm-hmm.
first, understanding you're not supposed to be happy all the time. You're not going to be happy all the time. Things aren't going to be rainbows and unicorns every single day. So it's like life, obviously, like a heartbeat, like a literally watching an EKG, up and down, up and down. You got your highs, you got your lows. When you hit the highs, you enjoy the heck out of them for as long as you can, because it's temporary. And when you hit the lows, you understand that it's temporary. And maybe it's a low time for you to collect yourself, for you to reframe, for you to change course, for you to go inside a little bit
Yes.
for
Yes.
development, right?
Yep.
But that too is temporary. The only time when you're ever in trouble is when, just like an EKG and a heart monitor, you got that straight line.
Yeah.
And one
Yeah.
of the things that I tell, especially young people, but I think it doesn't matter really what age, but you can have it all,
Mm-hmm.
just not at the exact same time.
Right.
Marriage is hard. We have good days and bad days and good weeks and bad weeks, and you know what I mean? And yeah, you're like, okay, yeah, I can throw in the towel, but then I'm throwing away all of this. Or I
Mm-hmm.
can stick it out, and then when the good times are good, you're there for that too. And you realize that love evolves, life evolves.
Yes.
If you can have that understanding, unless it's obviously clearly an abusive
Right. Right.
situation,
Correct. Yeah.
then
Sure.
that's no good at all. But just understanding that it's not going to be perfect, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
But knowing again that the down times are temporary. And you said something earlier about being grateful for being an addict, in the sense
Mm-hmm.
that you because you got to the place of recovery, you have this life now.
Right.
I'm
Right.
so grateful for some of the most atrocious times of my life where I was involved in an emotionally abusive work and personal situation.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm
Mm-hmm.
not grateful that it happened,
Right. Right.
but
Right.
I'm grateful because A, it showed me how strong I was, and B, it led me to the path of understanding my value and worth. And I would never be here now if I hadn't
Yes.
gotten on that path.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Without a doubt. And being and I think I find in my marriage that when I do have those moments where things creep up and I'm an asshole or however, that I try not to be in judgment of myself over that. Like I try not to do that thing where I just beat the shit out of myself for being an asshole and drop down into those old, like very lower vibration emotions where now I make myself wrong for being human.
Right.
And I think that's our greatest. We are born to be in relationship, with each other. We're born to be in communion with each other. And I think it's a great, I have a friend that since her divorce, she was just so floored by this divorce that she has not moved on to find love since.
Mm.
And, and I think there's this, our culture tells us, oh, I can be alone. I don't need anybody and I don't do this. But inherently we do. And we cut ourselves off from a huge part of ourselves when we stop ourselves from being in communion with others because of past hurts versus finding, like we're talking about, finding the beauty, the contrast, like Craig said it, the contrast is what lets me, if I know what I don't want, then that's a great indication of what I do. And if I can intentionally focus on what I do want versus just being emotionally attached to what I don't, then I'm already taking a step forward.
Yeah.
Already.
So my thing is the other night, because our youngest daughter was sleeping in the bed with my wife, so I'm sleeping up in her bed. And after
We play musical beds in our house.
Yeah, and after I've read the eldest one a story, and then I usually fall asleep along with her. I read the story in her bed, and then she gets mad because I might snore, so she kicks me out. So it's 3 o'clock in the morning, or something the other morning, I'm lying in bed and I'm like, why did I wait so long to find Karith? Why did I go through? Why did I have all these, because I was married twice before, and that.
Okay.
Why did I have these terrible marriages, and that. Why did I have these terrible relationships and everything else, right? And then I'm like, man, if I could have just got to where I am now, I would have been much better off. And then I thought to myself, you know what? I had to go through all of those things, every falling down. I had to fall down 1,000 times to get up 1,001 times.
Yes.
I had to learn all of the crazy lessons and that. And if I hadn't have learned all of that stuff, I wouldn't have been ready for having a relationship with Karith. And that, and, I probably wouldn't have been in the right space of where I needed to be to make this marriage work and to make this a successful, family and relationship and everything else. So there was everyone gets to the point that they are now, not by chance, not by haphazard. You are divinely have to go. God never gives you a challenge that you can't overcome. And there's a lesson to be learned in every single one. And when we overcome these things, the next lesson is coming. The next benefit, the next opportunity is coming. And you can fall down 1,000,000 times too, but you get up 1,000,001. That's what it's all about.
Absolutely.
That prepares you for the next thing.
Absolutely. It's like Jim Rohn I always used to listen to Jim Rohn a lot, where he says winter is always coming. Like the seasons follow each other, no doubt about it. So summer's fun and spring is great. New things are happening, but winter's coming. So how do you, prepare for the winters? If you just have all your fun in the summer and you never get to learn anything like that, then the winters are hard. It's about, I think that suffering in not in a lot of ways. I think it just is. For me, suffering became like a choice that I didn't realize I had the choice. I didn't realize all that time that I spent suffering that I was driving the ship. I never even understood that I had a choice to get up and stop suffering. And that is what spiritual maturity represents to me is the ability to make change before suffering has to occur. I don't have to suffer in order to make positive change, especially if I surround myself with people who are in that same atmosphere, especially people that are more spiritually mature than myself, that can mirror that back to me. It's important, I think. That's amazing that you had that reflection. How long have you all been married?
About 5,000 years.
Are we counting our previous lives together? Like
that's how we feel.
And in the Middle Ages. And,
that's how we feel.
Like this go around 11 years.
11 years. Wow. That's a big deal. That's a big deal. I've been with my wife 18 years when I never could make a relationship last. I think my longest relationship before then was 5 years. I always told her, I really began to believe I had a medical problem, that I just was going to go to the doctor and say, listen, something's wrong with me. I can't commit.
Yeah.
I can't do it. But it was just about, aligning with that one. But had I not gone through all of that,
You gotta go
I
through all
would
of
not have known,
that.
because my relationship before my wife had all the aspects that I thought I wanted. I came from Texas because I wanted a Southern woman like my grandmother. There were these ideals that I just wanted to have. And the women I dated in Texas were all very independent and all those things. So I went back home and I found one that had all of those attributes, and yet she ended up stealing my grandparents' identities, and I ended up going to prison. And so, but my wife now, born only 2 days apart, from the last one, had those attributes, but she had like I realized at the core, it wasn't about all the things I could check off the box.
Right.
There had to be something else, like, and my wife is for me. You know what I mean? Like, she's for me.
Emotional component.
Yes, exactly. And she has those aspects. So there is a way that you can have it all, but that don't mean it's all daisies and rainbows.
You got to learn. It's a learning process.
It certainly is.
No one came out of the womb running. We all had to crawl, and the crawling sometimes was not successful. Then the walking was
true.
Successful, and
That's
have
true.
bumps and bruises.
That's true.
You never crawl?
I never crawl.
Is that what's wrong with you?
That's what's wrong with me. I never crawled. I refuse to crawl. I would kind of maybe pull myself along, but I refuse to crawl. And I think they say that has something to do with you're supposed to crawl to help with your reading ability. It's a developmental part
and motor skills.
Really?
Probably, yeah, it's probably why I'm not a good dancer. I was the only black girl not to make drill team, so I'm not very coordinated. I'm a great chair dancer. I got rhythm from here up. But, yeah, no.
The full thing.
I love it. Chris is the poor thing.
Are you kidding? You just called me Elaine?
Yeah, it looks a bit like
Not Elaine. I can see that. That's great. That's great.
That bad.
We could get the kids up here and
all right.
they could
You just throw them into the bus and then bring the children into it?
They'll tell the truth. Tell the truth.
Oh my goodness.
That's amazing, man. I'm so grateful that you both got to join us. It's always fun when y'all are here together. Like, my face hurts and I got tears in my eyes from laughing. Man, I'm grateful that we're talking about this. And even though, I want people to understand that there's intention behind this. Like, everything that we're talking about, there's intention and choice behind that you can choose to look at. Because you guys are going through circumstances, I'm going through circumstances, and some days it ain't that easy. We'll be honest, not to look at what's right in front of us and feel shitty about it. And I don't think it's not wrong to feel shitty about it. It's not wrong to acknowledge that it's happening, but if we choose to stay in that and we don't become intentional,
wrong. It's staying in
that's it.
Staying in it and letting it poison you, letting it poison your love, letting it poison your perspective and your outlook. That's when it's wrong.
Well, it's all a choice of perspective. And so I have a lesson, because when my kids, we do the homeschooling, and when my kids start to, they start to get, our daddy, this and that, and something's going wrong, right?
Frustrated.
Frustrated or whatever, right? I stand at one end of the room, and I have one kid stand in one corner and one kid stand in the other corner of the room, right? And I say to the one kid, which side of the room am I? Which side of you am I on? And one will go, you're on the left-hand side, right? And the other kid will go, no, you're on the right-hand side, right? Everything is about how we view things and the perspective that we take, right? So the kid that goes, you're on the left-hand side, I go, now if you move over to where the other daughter is, I go, now where am I? Oh, you're on the right-hand side. So now you agree with her. Sometimes we have to change our perspective on things. If the problem stays the same, you can't move the problem, but we can move our own perspective. And everyone's so focused on That's the problem. I need to move the problem. And we forget about the fact that you can't move the problem. The only thing we can move is ourselves.
Absolutely. My therapist just said something like that to me. She was like, you're spending all this time trying to move the table. There's this table in the middle of the room and you're spending all your energy, but it's bolted to the floor and you're trying to move it versus trying to learn how do you live and
you're
move
trying to
around
say,
this
well,
table.
the table has to be on the left-hand side of me.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And you're on the right of it. Right. So let
Yeah.
me move the table instead of moving myself. And that's where the
Yeah.
whole thing with inversity that Karith works with is based about. Can we change other people? No, not very easily. Sometimes by changing our interaction with them, we'll change their response back, but we can't change other people very easily. Can we change situations? Can we change our job? And that, no, but if we change our perspective, if we change our attitude towards that, I know people that go to work and they make good money and every day they wake up, oh, I got to go to that job. But, you're already defeated before you go.
That's
right?
the truth.
Versus you wake up and you go, I can't wait, even if it's to answer telephones and talk to idiots.
Yes.
I can't wait to get there, and I can't wait to wonder who is going to call in today.
So I have a hack for that. So I read this somewhere, and it's like one of my chapters of like what, ask why this is happening for me versus to me. But in that scenario that you just brought up, it's, instead of saying I have to do this, switch it to I get to do this.
Right.
I get to go to work every day and make a living. I get to interact with other people instead of being a toast operator in Montana. Like I get to, you know what I mean? Like I get to do this.
Sure.
Do this. This is a privilege for me. Or I want to go do this.
For sure. When I had no choice. My mom had a cleaning business and I would rather have someone just tap nails through my fingernails than to clean something. And then it got to the point where, it was, does my family starve or do I go and take this job? And I remember I used to get up every day and I'm like, would feel so offended, that people would be so messy, not even having the perspective like they're messy. So you have a job. It was just this drudging. So you're right, Craig. I was out of energy before I ever got there. I was pissed off. I was offended all the time. I remember when the first time somebody called me the help or the maid, and I was just like, what are you saying? Like, who raised you to be like that? So it was wild. And then I started realizing that I had power to choose. And so I began to change my perspective and realize how grateful I was that this is actually providing for my family. Like I'm able to say yes to my son when every other time it was no. And I didn't have to worry about if there was going to be enough food this month. And I didn't have to worry about those things because of this. So I started doing that same thing every day as I get to go and do this. I get to work on this 8-mile island that's surrounded by water. I get to be inside houses that are $6 and $7 million. So I get to see things that help me with my desire board.
Yes.
It's amazing.
Everything's an opportunity.
And that up-levels your gratitude, right?
It does.
That gratitude is also part of, I think, the equation of intention and manifesting.
I believe
because
so too.
The more you're grateful for, the more you get to be grateful for.
So true. So true.
It's so crazy how that happens. Like there are days when I try. It's challenging because sometimes you may have had a bad dream or you've just got so much stress and so much on your mind. You wake up thinking about all the stuff that has to get done. But if you can hit that pause button and say, I am so grateful for my life. I am so grateful for my family, for my kids, for my job, for my work, I'm so grateful for my home. I'm so grateful there's food in my fridge. I'm so grateful my parents are still alive. Like the things that we take for granted.
I'm grateful for the chicken in the dog cage.
So true.
I demand of the chicken.
Amanda the chicken.
Chicken that passed out. Oh gosh, that's a vision that I will not get rid of. I love that.
Yeah. Well, we had her tub full of ice yesterday.
He put her in a shoebox, like a plastic shoebox. Like he gave her an ice bath.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my god, because I'm like, oh my god, I'm gonna have to plan a chicken funeral. Like, what am I going to do?
Right.
We've already had multiple gerbil funerals.
We had to have a chicken dinner.
I know. Stop.
I love that, man. I love that. And I know it's hot in Texas. Like out here when you walk in, when you walk outside here, you just get instantly wet because it's so humid.
Humid, yeah.
But oh my gosh, like out in Texas, I remember walking on the sidewalk and you could get literally burned if you're looking down at asphalt.
Did you see the meme of that woman who baked bread in her mailbox in Houston?
No.
And she had a brick mailbox and she baked some bread.
Like
and
we've got.
Oh my God.
Baked bread. It was a viral little photo, but that's how hot it is in Texas.
That's what a lady sent me this little text the other day. Said it's so hot outside. When I opened my door, I thought I was checking my cornbread, and I thought that's hilarious.
I thought she was gonna say I was expecting Satan to be like dropping off.
She was like, I thought I was checking my cornbread. It's wild. And once again, we can choose to focus on that. My wife sometimes like, it's so hot. And I'm like, yeah, but in January, you're going to be missing this hot because you're going to be saying it's so cold. So we got to, we got to be intentional. We got to find a way, man. I love y'all. I'm so grateful.
We love you.
Y'all got the chance to do this. And congratulations, Karith, on everything that's really happening with Inversity. I think that we're getting to a place where people are becoming, we don't need all of the population to evolve. We just need a certain amount. And I think that people are really starting to open up and look for these different solutions. And Inversity is an amazing solution to, I think, a conversation that has not ever been done well. And I think that with Inversity, I think you're more than on to something. You're helping to change lives and businesses, and it helps for people, to be able to see it from that standpoint. So InversitySolutions.com is where people can find you, correct? Yep. Also have your link tree up here that you can find everything Karith Foster.
They can look up the article, and if they will add Inversity Solutions, they can find the New York Times article. Just because sometimes there's a paywall.
Amazing article.
Not that I don't want to encourage people to go to the New York Times, but if you have to pay for it and you don't feel like signing up, we have the excerpt that features me and my company on the Inversity Solutions page under the blogs or articles tab.
It was a beautiful, beautiful article. I just felt in my soul that when I read that article, I was like, this is like another jumping off point in your world. And I'm so grateful for that, because the more exposure that gets, and the more people get to truly embrace what Inversity truly is. And thank you for being a person that's created something like that. Everybody can get the book on Amazon at amazon.com/You Can Be Perfect or You Can Be Happy. It's an amazing book. I looked everywhere in our place because, we kind of are homesteading now in this small place. Right. And I tore everything apart trying to find the book to give it. And I was like, what a bad host I am that I can't even, but I put all of my autographed books that are so special to me, I have in this special tote with all of the silica gel things in there so nothing happens to them. So I've got it, and it's an amazing book, and it's a great resource for anybody.
I know you read it twice, and you call me up. Yeah. Karith, I just read this part, and this just resonated with me, and I love that.
It's so good. I mean, it's really so good. It's to me, it's there's so many people that tell a story, and that's amazing that we have redemption stories and all of that. I think it's very important, but I also think it's super important when somebody can start helping you with the roadmap. Yeah. And in 2021, I needed that roadmap to help me through some really huge things. It's when I started to really get intentional about what was happening in my life. It was a lot of big stuff. And so I needed that roadmap. And so for anybody who's looking to help with a roadmap on how you can truly, truly create a life you love, start living your best life, whatever that looks like, as long as it's true for you. I think this is a great resource. So You Can Be Perfect or You Can Be Happy. You can get on Amazon, hit Karith up on the link tree, Inversity Solutions. Go and read that article. It's a beautiful article. And I can't wait to be walking through the airport and see that book this year. Or let's say 2024 at the
24
latest.
is more reasonable.
Which book is
Well,
that?
that's just
The Inversity Solution. Good. You're finally getting on that thing out.
Yes, babe.
Good.
that's just because
But
I
that's
might
what
not be in an
people are
airport
needing,
till
Karen.
2024.
I know.
They
Yeah.
do. Just like you said to me, how long have I been wanting to write a book? You said, are you writing? Well, no, but I want to write a book. Well, what are you going to do about it?
You better start typing.
You better start doing something, or else it's just a wish.
Exactly.
Wishes become empty if there's no action behind them. Well, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me and being here. And everybody, remember that this will be an audio episode on iTunes, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and all those places in might not be an hour tonight because we're going to hang out and talk a little bit, but it'll be there by tomorrow. So make sure you please do the things, the likes, the shares, help us grow the channel, help us grow this message. And if you have show ideas, let me know. Thank y'all so much. And everybody, I will see y'all next week. Remember, it's up to you. You can get up from your give up and create a life you love. Hang with Recovery Soul Food to help you learn how. We'll see you next time. Bye.